YouTube. Hey, how you doing? I had this question the other day about striper fishing, and I started looking into it, and then I had a little experience of my own I'd like to tell you about. Well, first of all, the question was, can stripers smell? Of course, they can smell if you leave them out of the cooler for a while, but I mean, can they smell? And of course, I'm sure they could. I was pretty sure they could. I know fish can smell underwater. You hear these stories about sharks that can smell blood for a mile away or something like that. So, yeah, but I didn't really specifically know about stripers, and I did learn something. But let me start off with a story something that happened to me this last weekend. I took my kids fishing up in Pine Valley, trout fishing, and Pine Valley, Utah. In case you're wondering, maybe some of you have been there. And before we went, we stopped at Sportsman's Warehouse and picked up a few things. And my kids wanted picked up this trout attractant, this scent stuff that you're supposed to put on your bait. And that's what got me to thinking is, does that stuff really work, or is it a gimmick or whatever? So we went out fishing out there at Pine Valley with my wife and I and my kids, and we were all using that trout attractant, well, all except for one of us. And we were using that trout attractant, and we were catching fish. We were catching trout with that, using that trout attractant. And I noticed after a little while that we were the only ones on the lake that were catching fish. And as far as the trout attractant goes, one of my sons he does this thing where when we go fishing, he sneaks off kind of on his own. He usually comes back with a mess of fish, and we usually get skunked or something. But this time he didn't have that trout attractant with him. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, we really tried, but at the end of the day, he didn't catch any fish. And I'm sure he was disappointed about it. I'm sure he wanted to catch fish and hold up his reputation and just have the fun of catching fish, but he didn't have any of that trout attractant with him. So it got me to thinking, I'm pretty sure that stuff made a difference in our fishing trip, because nobody else was catching fish, and even my son who was with us didn't catch any fish, and he was the only one that didn't use that. So it got me thinking about stripers and their sense of smell. I did a little research and found out that stripers have two holes on each side of their face for smell, and in one of those holes the water enters, and in the other hole the water exits. And not only can they smell this way, but their sense of smell is different than ours. Their sense of smell is also connected to their sense of taste. So their smell is also a taste. They can almost taste their smells. And so I'm not sure about trout, but I just know that trout attractant worked really well for those trout. So it's not a gimmick. And my question that I had after that was, I wondered if that stuff upped our odds so much. I wondered, like, when you're fishing with a lure for stripers, if having a scent on that lure would make a difference in striper fishing. I haven't ever tried it. I'm sure some of you guys have, so that's why I'm asking it on here. And maybe some of you guys can give me an answer below, and I could do a little more research on that, or maybe you even have a video of you doing it. That'd be terrific if you could reply with a video link. That'd be awesome. Anyway, that's my story for today, and I'm sticking to it. Have a good one. This is Darren. I'm out. Bye.